when AI and Bitcoin are correlated, it's going to be, doubly bad for the stock. The AI trade has taken a lot of the wind out of the sails of crypto. Just look at the Bitcoin miners who are aggressively pivoting to AI. So they're basically like selling Bitcoin to fund this pivot. And if Bitcoin sells off, they literally need to raise more debt at the same time.
What is your view on the 4-year cycle? This is a big debate right now currently. Is a 4-year cycle still relevant?
I tend to give it.
Very pleased to be welcoming you back to the show, Matthew Siegel. He's the head of digital assets research at VanEck and the portfolio manager of the on-chain economy ETF. We'll be talking about what it means to be living in an on-chain economy. But first, let's talk about Bitcoin. Very good to see you again, Matthew. Welcome back.
Hey, David. Yeah, good to be with you.
Last time you were on the show was April. I had you on a couple of times on the show. Check out our last conversation. I spoke with you live at a conference in New York back then in April. Bitcoin was, the interesting thing about Bitcoin is that it underperformed the stock market when the stock market was up all year. And now we're speaking on the 20th of November. It's at 86,000 is the latest price on my screen. And it's basically down about 11% year to date when the NASDAQ is up a lot more than that. So it's been a disappointing year for a lot of people who have been betting on Bitcoin. It's probably disappointing for yourself. You've been calling for Bitcoin to go higher, right? I think on the show, you said that there's a possibility it could rebound to 180K by Q4. Let's walk through the assumptions of that call and basically why Bitcoin was so disappointing this year, the fundamental reasons for why Bitcoin underperformed. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I think that the AI trade has frankly taken a lot of the wind out of the sails of crypto. And you can even just look at the Bitcoin miners who are aggressively pivoting to AI. And for me, that's one of the principal reasons why crypto has underperformed this year is that there have been better things to buy. So now we're in a situation where BTC and NVIDIA are pretty highly correlated. And I think that Bitcoin is acting as a little bit of leverage on top of that AI trade. So many of these Bitcoin miners are aggressively repurposing their mining facilities to serve the AI market. That requires a lot of CapEx in order to upgrade these data centers and possibly fill them with GPUs. And they're using the cash generated from Bitcoin mining to fund part of that CapEx. A lot of it is debt funded. So what you have is when Bitcoin is selling off because of debt fears, which or rather when the AI trade sells off because of debt fears, that is a double whammy to these stocks because it means that their CapEx requirements go up because the cash that they're generating from selling Bitcoin is going down. So I think that's how BTC and NVIDIA are essentially connected and correlated. The more GPU demand there is, the fewer BTC the miners have to sell in order to fund these pivots, right? Because a lot of them are literally borrowing GPUs, borrowing money to buy GPUs. And the interest rate on those loans is going to be dependent on the supply-demand dynamic for GPUs.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it.
Hope you are doing very well. And this is the home of rational analysis. Where do we go from here? I hope you guys can hear me. Big up yourself, Pete. Caveman is in the building. Hey, Cave, we're going to jump on it together in a minute. But guys, do I sound loud and clear? Do let me know. It's going to be the 6-year cycle. Big facts. There's just something that's utterly broken. And we are going to assess what that is. But big up yourselves, guys. Do let me know if you can hear me. And if you can't, then, well, I'm kind of screwed. So I have to restart my machine. But I wanted to do a quick live stream tonight because of the, something's off. I don't think I'm Yes, Cliff. Can you guys hear me? Somebody give me the thumbs up, brothers and sisters alike. Howdy to you too, Cliff in the building. I can hear you fine, finally. My brothers, you are absolute legends. And yeah, great to see you, Cliff. Great to see you, Patriot. Great to see you, Peter. Great to see anybody else that's not here by name. Sounds good. Thank you, brother. It's great to hear from you guys. But I wanted to be a little bit more rational than a lot of the shit, a lot of the nonsense that is going on right now. So whatever the direction, everybody seems to be jumping on board. The picture is not as clear cut yet. The Fed don't actually even agree themselves. And in this quick live stream tonight, I just wanted to support everybody by letting them know nobody knows what the F they're talking about. At the end of the day, it does actually, you need one chart that actually predicts risk assets being, being on. And Cave, we'll jump in together as well. I think we do it today because I know tomorrow is not good for you. We'll get some of your opinions, of course. A few of the good brothers I can see today. Of course, Peter is camera shy. Cliff, Patriot, the legends are here. But I'm going to show you something as always and understand why bull markets and bear markets happen from a liquidity aspect. Okay, it's not always a clear case, but in this particular case, it's obvious to me, right? So I'm going to share this chart with you, okay? And this is what we call the federal government's general trading account, or the TGA. And what I'm about to show you was probably the reason why I did a video to perhaps, obviously we're only a small channel, but I did do a video here with a 90-day plan back in July, August. And I said, guys, take anything off the table that you feel comfortable with doing. Okay. This video had about 1.9K views. It was 3 months ago, but I talked about the traps. At the time, in July, what I was looking at was, and it feels great to actually see some of the movements that happen within the macro picture. And I think without the macro, you're going to make mistakes, regardless of what anybody says. You are going to make major mistakes. So we're going to talk about this really quickly, and hopefully this makes you understand where we are. Rather than telling people I call the top, I call the bottom, that's nonsense. I've been hearing that from all YouTubers all week, and it's kind of stupid because same YouTubers were calling the top in September, in August, right? So that hasn't worked out. So all of a sudden now they're spreading more fear, more FUD, more disbelief. And yes, there is a massive reason as to why we're crashing. I'm not sure about $50,000. I do have a line in the sand. I think $74,000 is also this level. So if you want to do things in a rational manner, what you need to do is see what the whales are doing. Are they buying? They've been dumping all week, all month. OG Bitcoin whales are out of the game. They've been selling over 400,000 Bitcoin. So from that perspective, yes, it does look like doom and gloom. But there's one number. Every bull market is different. There are similarities and there are differences. The real scary number for us, right? Let's deal with the truth, what we can actually visually see. So this is Strategy's average Bitcoin holdings, pricing, and everything else, right? The one single number here, and you will see something that I've done in the chart here, and I've shared this with the group. I have actually put this, I've had this chart for a bit. It's call it the cycle stop loss. But the stop loss here is around this $74,000 level. And why? The major reason why is because of Strategy. Okay. Strategy right now has an average cost of BTC of around 74,433. Okay. And I can see here, can we go over the crypto bear market hit list? Yes, we definitely can do, brother. Much appreciated. Yes, that's going to be very important to everyone. Although what I wanted to do was actually do a private DXB community live stream for that, because I think you guys are gonna absolutely take. I've been talking about that since day one. So yes, we will talk about that, and I'll probably go into more details as and when. This is the number that everybody should be concerned about: 74,433, right? Rather than calling a bear market right now, if strategies start selling, right, because their average cost sits around 74,433. It's also the cycle macro low so far in the previous move. If we break that, then you can definitively call it a day, right? Because obviously then strategy panics and there could be a cascading effect beyond what we've seen. So far, I genuinely believe it's a liquidity game. People are hunting, the exchanges are actually making. You saw the Tom Lee video that I did in the last live stream, and I genuinely believe that could be a case where the exchanges are now going to start manipulating. The market makers will actually rip this thing to the sky because there's a lot of liquidity that's above. I talked about it in a video today. So hold our nerves and see what 74 does. If this strategy number comes under attack, right? If this comes under attack, then guys, we will be, unfortunately, the market forces will be way bigger than us, right? Let's be fair. This is not about scoring points against other YouTubers. I hope they all have big communities. I hope they all grow and whatever. There are some true dickheads out there who thrive in misery. You know, I told you so. You know that guys, we are all either fucked, because I genuinely believe a lot of YouTubers don't actually make money or decent money, right? We are either all screwed, or we are looking at this strategy number as a mark, you know, as a marker, a line in the sand. And I genuinely believe there's some really, really good people, but the stuff that I'm seeing now is horrendous, because what it does is it just takes the fear, amplifies it, and then of course there's gonna be millionaires made from a bear market, but you don't want to be sitting there holding 10 years and of course you're looking for the next whatever. It's not 10 years, it's 365 days from cycle bottom to top to the bottom. So it's a long way to go, and this could actually play out. But the question you have is, what's happening here? Because beyond the normal reasoning, our exchanges are selling, right? These are retail reasonings, right? The market is rigged. But beyond the numbers that concern us, like the strategy number there, what else is happening? So I'm gonna take you through a bit of a guidance, if you'd like, so that you understand how the liquidity cycle works. And this is right. So we talked about QE and all of that stuff, and we did say I've been saying it throughout August actually, and July's euphoria. They're gonna have to drain the general trading account of the Fed. Okay, just before liquidity rises, this happens all the time. But this chart is very deceptive. So you would see periods here when crypto blast off crazy, like there's been crazy returns. Like even recently, if you saw from July, as this has been rising, we saw the October top, right? Now, genuinely, the way this is correlated with Bitcoin risk assets, looking at the chart is not going to tell you, because it is absolutely the 360. It's the other way. It's like you've got to think of this chart and look at 2021, for example, 2020. But look at this. In 2021, January here, it was falling. So you may be asking, why is it falling? And why did Bitcoin then do all-time high? October here, it's falling. It's falling in June. It's actually falling again. You know, if you look at this, October and of course, November 2021, it was falling. And it is this point I want to tell you that makes all the difference. When this chart is at the bottom, what happened? February, March, April, we recovered in May. The Fed absolutely then went and injected capital into the markets, and then we ended up running off from that. All right. So if you look at the cycle of 2021, and it's specifically around the Bitcoin's all-time highs, you would see that this chart is more towards the bottom than it is to the top. And I guarantee you, if you learn this stuff, honestly, like, because you'd be checking different charts, it's the biggest issue is when something goes wrong, then you're going to get lots of experts telling you different things. But this is about liquidity movement and how the US economy works, right? And again, Cave says there's a sailor being liquidated. That is absolutely why I've actually got this as the line in the sand for my bear market level. Okay. So what do we do here? So we saw August, they started injecting liquidity, July, and we had the all-time highs in July. And of course, as this has risen, what you would see is that eventually the risk assets will come down. So what is this? What are you looking at? You are looking at liabilities and capital, okay? So what you're looking at is the general trading account for the US government, which is like a checking account. Think of your normal checking account that indicates when risk assets go up, as the chart rises, risk assets then fall, right? And essentially what happens is every dollar the government spends, or every dollar that flows in and out, so it's like money in, money out. And money in normally taxes, bills, issuance, and things like debt issuance. Money out, spending, salaries. And here's the key. So what is the impact on the market in general, right? You want to know that, like, how does this friggin' impact me? Well, this is the part almost all of the investors miss. When the TGA rising or account is rising, liquidity drains, markets pull back, rise, pull back. Bull markets are normally found towards the bottom of this chart. And it happens 2017. It's happened in 2021. It's happened again relatively, like we've had an explosive growth back in 2023. And because, 3 months prior to when the alts moved, the TGA account was absolutely drained. It was at the bottom. Okay. So what does that mean? Let me go over that again so each person can take that with them and then check this chart independently. And you can use this chart all of the time. Like it will give you so much confidence in investing your own money. You don't have to sit behind any YouTuber out there to know this is stuff that we can all do. And I hope by just being here, you all become better investors and you start to get the true information that you need for the market, as opposed to the true, kind of like a lot of the fake stuff that's going on there. All right. So basically, when it rises, liquidity totally is drained. Now, why is liquidity being drained? Right? Liquidity is being drained because the Fed has announced on the 1st of December, they are ending the liquidity drain. Let me repeat that. Jerome Powell and the Fed will be ending this balance sheet tightening. So what happens after that? So if the TGA is rising and liquidity is draining, i.e. when it rises here, the chances are this is where you get extreme amount of volatility in the stock market and crypto, especially to the downside. So if you have that as an indicator, then what happens next? So when it rises, the market is pulling back and it's been rising exponentially here. If you look at this, September, October, they've accelerated the pace in which they were doing that. What I'm looking to do is putting a marker on this chart and having this as a kind of a level where it starts to fall. If I see this chart falling, then I can confirm the bull market is just about to get extended. If this continues to rise, even by breaking out of this previous levels here in 2022 and back in the May 2024, when we had the massive, again, if you look at the halving, what happened? Everybody was like, oh, Bitcoin supply shock, halving. And then what? We dumped. We dumped because the Fed started to tighten liquidity. Once you get these little nuances, you are going to chill And I promise you, this chart alone should guide you along with all of the other confluences, but it's all liquidity is king, right? Now I'm gonna speed through this. Liquidity rising, so market pulls back. So what happens when it rises? So generally, money moves from banks, money moves from money markets, and money moves from institutional liquidity pools. It's important. Every time it rises, that's exactly what happens. And so this then is into the TGA account, effectively taken out of circulation. That's what balance reduction means. This reduces the liquidity available to banks, hedge funds, risk assets, crypto, leverage markets. And that's what we've been seeing. Because crypto people think only in the crypto sphere, they can't actually bring themselves around to understanding the bigger forces that are at play. It's like basically pulling, the oxygen out of the lungs of the markets or the room, whichever way you want to call it. Crypto slows, stocks, crypto gets hit the hardest because we play around with the most riskiest assets. And of course, as soon as we see the falling of this TGA liquidity chart, what we see is liquidity being pushed back into the markets. And we saw, again, you cannot dispute the fact that this has happened every single time. Every time it falls, and July was a perfect example where from April we were rising, right? January actually we topped and then it started to fall, bottomed in July. We knew immediately the markets were parabolic because in July we've made some of the best money, and in August, early parts of August, then I did that video to say that there's a big friggin' trap here. When the government spends, the balances decline. So this is what I'm saying, it's kind of counterintuitive. It's totally like a 360 market. Like when they spend, naturally this balance is falling. That means they are pushing liquidity back into market, households, corporations, and of course the risk asset markets and stock markets as well. So historically, these accounts spend down periods, and normally it's very good for the longer we have this chart at the bottom, the longer we have an extended bull run. And right now we are talking about a bear market because this has risen to a level not seen since 2023, 2024, 2020. So this is rising. I'm hoping we do get a reversal just like we did on the 1st of May. 1st of May, we reversed and the market liquidity started easing, ultimately leading to the July pump. Smash a like if you're finding any of this shit valuable. Of course, I will sum this up and then come to the legends in the chat. So July 16, 2025 was quite pivotal because guess what? That was the date when we had, if you remember, we had some really crazy explosive moves across alts. Ethereum was absolutely ripping. Why? Because the Fed was pushing liquidity into the system. Nothing else, right? No BS. No, he said this, she said that. My mate Dave told me this. This is exactly what happened. And this is why right now we are suffering and we are hoping that the end of this reduction, then the government starts actually spending 1 trillion. They've taken 1 trillion out of the markets since July, right? So July, August, we had a pump. We had the bid in, of course, bid in Bitcoin as well, mostly driven by not real liquidity. We had the exchange manipulations. So this is why we've seen textbook Fed liquidity drain. Their balance sheet is right. The account is rising and they are taking assets out. If this falls, I will do an alert in the community and I will let you know, guys, we are absolutely okay and we can continue to hold some of our risk assets because ultimately this is what happened back in April. Alts have struggled. Bitcoin has completely stalled and stocks have lost momentum, even though the stock market is doing better. The Dixie is very strong. Stablecoin dominance is very high. All of that doesn't indicate a bear market. What it does indicate is the liquidity in the system is being actively drained to the tune of balance right now. They have $1 trillion and we are at the reversal zone. Look, reversed, reversed, reversed. Each one of these downtrends led to a massive pump. Okay. So at $1 trillion, usually is the ceiling for the federal government to put these, to put money back into the market. So this means, regardless of what anyone thinks, major liquidity may be forming beneath the surface, right? That's facts. And if liquidity expands, crypto will be the first. Bitcoin will be the first to catch flames and react to that. Okay. For now, it's rising. Therefore, we are going to give that opportunity for the bears to keep stacking liquidity and shorting Bitcoin. But if I was to leave the market today, it would only be because we have now kind of breached the strategy level. Strategy is a massive, massive player. Michael Saylor is one of the best diamond hands, let's be fair. But there is something brewing that tells me if we hit a bear market, it will not just be a bear market, it will be catastrophic bear market in the making. Hope that makes sense to you guys. And I'm going to come over to the legends in the chat. Man said, bro, it's looking like William Saliba. Saliba. Big up yourselves, bro. And if anyone is available, some of the legends, I do want to keep it to an hour tonight because I'm going out for dinner. But you legend. Playbook Magic called it one day. R.I.P. Hugh Hefner, bro. Yeah, believe in Saylor. I mean, MicroStrategy is super diamond hands, bro. And absolutely, let me just, legends, you know who you are. If you are available, Cave, Cliff, I have shared the live stream link, but let me go through your legendary quotes and comments here. Exchanges took all the liquidity with leverage, absolute facts, and push prices, of course, they will go down a lot more. Exactly. I mean, look, no one's denying what's happened. And I think you are absolutely spot on in your analysis. I did actually start the live stream off the other day with Tom Lee's analysis. And I know people don't like Tom Lee, but it's exactly what they've done. Now, history does help us to a degree, but mass liquidations in a bull cycle year is not uncommon. It has happened before, not to this tune, because crypto is bigger and wider and better. What I'm seeing right now is not only have the market capitulated, it does actually feel, for me anyway, if I'm not making, say, 5, 10x on an altcoin for a sustained period of time, I mean, all of the fundamental plays, we've been in a bear market for a while. If you want to think of the chart that actually predicts bull markets and bear markets, what's happening right now is there is a liquidity pivot while we have basically a bear market. That doesn't work like that usually. I'm going to bring Cliff on board. My brother, great to see you here. Absolute legend. Let me just go and what's going on here? Let me just change. Yes, we needed to. There you are. There you are, bro.
Man? How's things?
Yeah, bro.
It's a little colder over here than over there, right?
Great to see you. How's the family?
Yeah, doing well. Doing well. So just looking at buying a house, or another house, should I say. So,
amazing stuff, bro. Amazing stuff. No, that's let's just say you will definitely not be one of those people in the liquidation discussions for sure.
No, I've been very fortunate. I liquidated some of my assets earlier in the year.
Amazing.
But yeah, I'm at the point now where there's no point in liquidating. I might as well just hold on to it for now.
Absolute big facts. And I can see, I mean, to be honest, the bear market, the way people actually put this down as a 2-year bear market or whatever, doesn't really faze me. But what's your take so far of the shit show that we've had?
Yeah, I mean, for the last, oh God, we had that little bubble sort of beginning of the year sort of thing where we saw some nice profits, but other than that, it's been pretty much a downtrend for months, right? If you look at it from a bigger picture, it's been heading for a pullback for a while now. Me and Caveman were talking about this same thing. He was seeing the signs weeks, if not months ago. So, you know, I took some profits where I could, liquidated some proof of work coins that I'd obviously mined over the last year, and then just threw it all into either Bitcoin or stables. So I've got
There's one for you, by the way, bro. I don't know if Steve saw you coming from a mile, but you know, obviously the FUD that's happening now, do you think it's to do with the new BTC
so
fork?
that's BTC2, right? That's the Bitcoin 2 one that they were talking about, which is a bit like how Bitcoin Cash started, right? So Bitcoin Cash started because the Bitcoin team had a fundamental disagreement about block size, right? People were trying to increase the block size. They couldn't get a consensus. So the people that wanted to do the bigger block size went off and forked Bitcoin 1-to-1 and created Bitcoin Cash. I mean, I could see, the question is, have they announced whether it's an actual fork? As in they're going to take the entire ledger. So everyone who holds BTC would get the equivalent 1-to-1 value in the new fork? Or is it a fork and start from scratch? So block 1, basically, Genesis. Because there's a bit of a difference in my view.
Yeah, and by the way, Bitcoin Cash has been doing in all of this, like it's been performing really, really well.
If you look at when they launched, right, they got the big, huge pump because everyone got a 1-to-1 copy of Bitcoin Cash to what they held in Bitcoin. So I'll even hold my hands up. I liquidated that the moment I got it because I flipped it back to Bitcoin. I just literally threw it in an exchange, transferred it from Bitcoin Cash to stable to BTC, and then out. Mainly because I had no reason to want to get involved with Bitcoin Cash, but I wasn't going to leave money on the table, so to speak, you know? So for me, I liquidated a lot of the Bitcoin forks that came around at the same time. There was loads of them. There was like Diamond Bitcoin, Super Bitcoin. There was like 10 or 11 of them. And I liquidated them all because I had no interest in getting involved with them. So to me, it was just free money on the table.
So this idea, where do you think we will scratch the strategy price? It would be great to, because by the way, guys, if you don't know,
I was talking to my money guy the other day.
Yeah,
and he personally said he could see it at around 76 to 78, which would put us really on the bubble for what we were talking about.
Yeah,
but you know, that's part and parcel of playing the cycles, right? There's always going to be an up and there's always going to be a down. You just got to play your cards right to make sure that you sell in when it's, you know, up on that uptrend rather than downtrend.
100%. I mean, look, if I was looking at a report from Glassnode and projections at 75K, it seems to me there's also, I mean, I do genuinely feel like the market makers want to make as much money as possible after the recent events. And there is crazy amounts of liquidity. I mean, this is just at 97K. Right?
Yeah, I mean, for the moment, I pulled 90% of my liquidity that I had on exchange off exchange for the moment.
Guys, that's super important.
I basically put it on my cold storage.
Oh, it's listen, you have to, if you've got money on exchanges, unless you're buying in and out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little too volatile for me. Like, I know crypto's volatile at the best of times, right? But there's volatile while accepting risk, and then there's volatile with the potential to lose a lot of money. So for me, I want to, you know, I'm nearly 40 now. You know, I'm not getting any younger. I don't want to play those kind of gambles anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's a young guy's game.
There's $500 million of liquidity.
That's
At
crazy.
110,000 and above, there's like 500 million to about $1 billion here, above $100,000.
I can see a lot of
know.
people losing a lot of money in the next couple of months if they're not careful.
I think so. Look, if we hit 75K, which is a level of strategy, and for me, it would be kind of like a bull market stop loss.
I mean, at that price, I might even be tempted to buy some more Bitcoin at that sort of price.
Right.
Realistically, right? As a time to get in, if you have never been able to get in because it's been too high, and you look at it and go, I'm not going to get the kind of returns on that because I'm just not going to get enough Bitcoin for my money. Now will be a really good time as well to get in. Just don't go silly, right? Everyone, there was a guy that proved it, right? 2018 to the 2021 bull run, he was buying $20 a day Bitcoin every day from 2018 to the bull cycle, the next bull cycle, right, in 2021, right?
That's insane.
The amount of Bitcoin that man had by the time it came to the next bull cycle way made up for any money he was spending, right? Now, I don't tell people to go that kind of crazy, right? Because that's an investment. That's no joke of an investment when you're doing, that every day. I mean, I know people that spend more than that on coffee a day, to be fair. So, you know, it really depends, right, on what your lifestyle's like. But $20 could be a lot, or it could be very little to people.
And I
but
smoke
right
that.
now, there's a
every day.
perfect opportunity. I just think it's a perfect opportunity for anyone to get in who is waiting for the right time. Personally,
because I think this will be $1 million asset in the near future.
I've always said that, I've backed Bitcoin since the day I got involved in it. It's given me a lifestyle and a luxury of owning my own home. I've got a really nice car. I've been on countless holidays. All that's the luxury of Bitcoin, to be quite honest. Me and you've talked about this privately, right? You know my holdings and my portfolio, right? Bitcoin's afforded me a lifestyle I never thought I would get, to be fair.
Facts.
And I'm still looking at utilizing it now. I'm looking at using some of that to buy the next house.
Facts.
So it's I'm almost using that to earn me even more money on the side.
Well, it's brilliant you're saying that, because I think the ability to DCA down, or DCA regardless of rain, come rain or shine, it's such a powerful thing. I haven't done it with Bitcoin. I have actually done it with ETH in the past.
Yep.
I've actually done it in 2022, 2023. I did it with Casper. Like literally just fuck it.
I've done pretty well off Casper. The wife's done pretty well off Casper as well. The wife's got a better portfolio than I have, to be fair. Like she's the less risky of the two, right? So she's only ever really got involved with Litecoin, Bitcoin, and a little dabble with Casper, right?
Right.
Obviously, me, I'm all over the place. For every 50 projects, I maybe get one good one. Me and Caveman were discussing like what the ratio should be. How many good ones to how many bad ones that you invest in, right? And obviously, the lower the number, the better. But even me and Caveman will say like it's at least 1 in 20, right? So for every 20 bad ones, we'll get one that might make a decent profit.
But the fact that you've got consistently, you got your BTC bag, I think that's where, and this is the lesson for everyone. I think the market cap hunting, in my opinion, I've prepared a long-term bear market hit list for the community, which Sky is referring to. And you know what? Bear market hunting does a couple of things. It's always good for me when some of the biggest wins I've had in this cycle have been like meme coins and stuff like that.
Sure.
None of the fundamental stuff. I'm still up on Casper.
I made a boatload recently on Zcash.
Zcash was, oh man, you've said that actually last year.
No, seriously, I found on my wallet I had a whole stack of it from like mega long time ago. I didn't even realize I even had it until I looked through some of my old wallets. So I had a pretty good payday for that.
Do you think if we obviously get favorable, and as and when we get favorable market conditions, I can see that being a massive trade for Near Protocol?
Sure.
Because that I mean the main contract is on Near Protocol. It's on Solana as well.
Yep.
But at the end of the day,
on Bitcoin, though, that kind of drop off. It's not often we see that kind of drop off on
this
Bitcoin.
is not healthy. That's what I wanted to ask you about, actually. This is, I mean, if you look at this,
if you look at it, it's just, it looks very similar to the first sort of big step, right? Not that one in the middle, but the one on the left.
This one.
If you look at it, it's very similar to that pattern there, right? So it's just, we will always get pullbacks. It's just how hard is the pullback? This time it looks I'd say quite a brutal pullback.
This is ridiculous.
We had quite a brutal rise, though, didn't we? In the last, middle of the year when it was really booming, and we're all expecting bull cycle to kick off.
We did, and I think there's one thing that I always look at, which is, do you reckon, right? It could be a long shot, but I mean, if you look at this has always been, a run up, a pullback, a run up.
Yeah, it's a very big step pattern, like it, and step patterns in, and this is traditional stocks I'm talking more of, right? Big steps like that are generally not even seen in true, like, stock markets, because you don't see that kind of meteoric rise almost every 4 years, right? You just don't. No. So, to see it looks weird, but it's also probably just as healthy that we do get our pullbacks, because it can never go always on the up, because otherwise you'll end up with, like, .com bubble kind of crash where the whole house of cards come falling down.
I mean, this is not, to be honest, this is kind of like looking at these price
showing
actions
my age
here.
now, right? When we're speaking about the .com bubble.
Well, this is a .com bubble right now. This is the biggest.
You know what I mean, right? It's very, very. It reminds me a lot of how that .com bubble. It just went crazy for month after month. Like, people were earning a fortune in the .com bubble, and that was just selling domain names and services.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Absolutely. I just think that this is not a natural. I mean, look. Forget forming a lower high. What we have here is a situation where there's no liquidity.
Yeah, that's a hard liquidate of some rather large wallets.
Crazy.
To push it that hard. I mean, my portfolio, right? Even if I sold everything I've got tomorrow, I couldn't even nudge a graph that hard on Bitcoin.
Never.
Like,
I mean, this is
huge numbers to move it like that.
And this is where your advice or your suggestion here of just buying good assets regardless of the market is very important, because if you're looking at extreme fear as opposed to extreme greed, which was on last week, by the way, this is bullshit. Last week was extreme fear.
Yeah, we've been in extreme fear for a month at least.
My like, what really kills me is that you will never see anybody who actually actively and confidently buys this stuff here around these areas. And I've talked about few.
I'm afforded a bit of a luxury that I've got enough to sustain myself, so I can go after some, like, almost crazy left field plays during the worst times
to play with, and I really love that and respect that. But here's the problem: like, when let's say, for example, we know Bitcoin is going to be a scarce asset in the long term anyway. But if you look at if you go back to November 2022, or around the week of FTX, November
Yeah.
2022, I think it was 15,680, whatever it was. Nobody wanted to touch it. All the big channels came out and they said specifically we were going to $10,000, $9,000 Bitcoin.
I'd have bought loads if it had hit that price.
Right, but it never went there.
I'd probably like 5x'd my wallet.
Bitcoin holdings, right?
I'd have just loaded it up.
But do you think market psychology, I mean, in my opinion, this is probably one of the most important components of crypto, because you will never buy, I don't know, an Ondo or a Casper or whatever, a Bitenza Tau, normal altcoins.
I mean, both of us have been very lucky with getting in on projects really early, right? You got in on Casper super early. I think you even got in earlier than I did.
I was lucky enough. I mean, I think I wanted to, like, to be fair, I mean, I went into Reddit rabbit hole. This was like all the way back in 22. But the crazy thing was, I did my first ever channel video on Casper. And it was because of being in crypto, sitting here, like I sat in this office, like back in
I did Casper the slightly harder way. Rather than buying it, I mined it when you could still mine it on a GPU before the ASICs came out.
Before the ASICs came and killed it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I think that was a turning point, right?
But then I went and got Casper ASICs. Me and the wife have got one. They're off at the moment because they're not profitable, but they easily earned us a lot of Casper.
Do you think the real Casper turning point was when they got up with Marathon? Because I think before that we had the natural, obviously before A6.
Yeah, I think once Marathon announced that they were mining Casper, you could almost understand why some of the sale pressure was there, because obviously they're probably selling a proportion of that daily, right? It's the same with Bitcoin. Marathon sell a certain proportion to cover their overheads and costs, but how much of that percentage nobody knows, right? They don't disclose that, but no. There's been some really big players on Casper, right? There's a really big guy in Casper called Christopher, right? He's big on X, right? Chris, I can't remember his name, but I actually met him in Miami at Mining Disrupt. We got chatting for hours on Casper. I actually went to the Casper after party at Miami. That was awesome. They throw an amazing party, by the way. If you ever get invited to the Casper party,
it's crazy, right?
Go, because they know how to throw a party.
Damn, look at the price. I mean, this is
I know that's almost the same price as Dynex right now.
This is 2023.
That's really surprising me, because like that's quite a fall.
Oh, mate, this is 2023 levels.
Yeah.
There's levels and there's levels. Holy crap. Look at this. I mean, Casper price was even high, actually, even way before that. This is, 20.
I mean, I think the next trigger for a bit of a push with Casper would be once they finally get their smart contract option out, like native smart contracts. I know they're working on them. When I was at Amsterdam, I got to chatting with one of the Casper guys. I think it's live now, isn't it? They've announced it earlier in the they've announced it, but I don't know how far. I don't keep up too much with Casper at the moment. I've been a bit busy with my own work, but I know that they announced it.
You did say that there was a DeFi project here that's going to be a crazy one. Like
how many dApps do you think that they're going to pull over from Ethereum once they finally get it launched, given how fast their network is?
That's
the capacity on their network is something massive when you work it out. So it'll be really fascinating to see how many take a bit of a jump and go for Casper, because of the fees are cheaper, the transacting fees are cheaper.
Wow.
Overall integration should be easier.
That's something actually that most people aren't thinking about. I mean, for me, I've always said this is like a multi-cycle coin, in the sense that
sure,
right now they are kind of struggling with a tier 1 I think there was that whole thing we talked about last time, but you did say they are developing some weird and wonderful and speedy DeFi plays.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make it an entire ecosystem. That's their overall goal, right? They need a really fast network so that they can handle things like normal payment transactions, but that's not the only thing that Casper is good at. Because of the block reorganization, the way that it can do blocks out of order and then resync them into the chain, like it truly is a way to like have pure redundancy. I like the concept of what Casper's doing.
Mm.
And if they get a few big players into it, you know, and they start buying heavy, you could see Casper having, I don't think monumental rise like Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's because it was also the first, is in a unique position. But could I see Casper being a reasonable price and, you know, a tenth of what Ethereum is? Of course.
I think that is, you know, again, you know, I tell everyone, take a long-term view of what you believe to be the best technology that will have, because you talked about the .com bubble. We spoke about that before, Cliff, and one of the main things was about longevity. I mean, we know 7 giants today that survived the .com bubble.
Yeah, there weren't many overall.
Millions of them. I mean, thousands of them died off, and ultimately, it's going to happen to crypto at some point. I think there will be
that with crypto now, don't we? For every 10 that make it in the course of a year, there's probably 10 times that fail. Through no fault of their own sometimes. It's just they either run out of money, they don't have a community that's driving their network. You know, I can attest this working with Dynex, right? Our community is amazing. It's what sustained us. We've took less of a beating in the last month than most coins because we've already took the beating and our community held pretty strong. If you've got a good community, and Casper's got a fantastic community, like they're devout like believers in their project, right? And that's sometimes what you need when keeping a project sustained through the harder times, right? Like a bear market. Those community members that stick around and want to continue to, you know, push are the people you want around.
Yeah, they wanted Binance wanted. We talked about this in our last.
Oh yeah. I've also had a chat with Binance. I can give you an actual first-hand experience of this, right? Like Binance say, "Oh no, we're not gonna charge you a listing fee. We'll charge you an integration fee." That's how they wing it, right? So that you don't actually have to pay a listing fee, and they can say that there are free listing fees. Coinbase does the same, by the way. But yeah, 3% is actually a low figure. Dynex got quoted 10%. 10% of the entire network.
Shit.
Oh, wow. and on top of that, $1 million as well, just to boot.
Just to
not for the listing, for the integration.
My goodness. And that's how they pitch it. They call it an integration.
Yeah. So they can publicize it better. They just do it in different ways. Yeah, they are horrid.
It's criminal.
Coinbase is the same.
Right.
The only one I will say that is actually relatively respectable on how much they either ask for market making or like a listing fee is Kraken. Right. Kraken is very respectable. I would say in the grand scheme of things, they're actually affordable. When I spoke to those guys over at Kraken, they were brilliant, right? Super professional, give me a breakdown of everything, like where's all this money going kind of thing, what's it breaking off into kind of thing. So they broke me out like how much they were going to pay for marketing, like all of the services, the integration fees, the listing fee, everything. It was fantastic. Wow. But then you go to somebody like Binance who, you know, because they're number one, they can treat you a bit different. And it's a very different experience.
It's like a different environment altogether. I think so that there is in Dubai, I mean, I often come across really powerful Asia-based, because Kraken is in the US, right? So maybe working to serve.
So you're talking like Upbit, for example, or Bybit. Both of those are very big in Asia. I spoke to the guys over at Bybit while I was over at Amsterdam. I spoke to Bybit because they had a stand there, so I was chatting with them guys. That was like a week after, literally a week after we heard about them being hacked for like the biggest hack ever. Yeah,
it's all forgotten now. They
I know, right? Nobody even talks about it. Biggest hack in ever on an exchange, and nobody even talks about it. Crazy, right?
Big Ye's got a strong following. One of the best in the business, my brother. Thank you. I mean, like, look, what plans you got, man? For Dynex, for what's happening? What you working on your wallet?
Paragon was announced, which is what we're actually doing coming up, which is we're going to a crypto-based stock tie. So that's properly listed on a stock exchange. That'll be all done on the Ethereum network, like most of the big ones are. So that's going to be interesting. We're actually going to be announcing more information on that probably January, February time. Can't really talk much about it because I'm under a lock and key NDA right now for everything else. We don't want anyone being, arrested for insider trading and stuff like that, because if we're doing proper stocks now, there are a whole bunch of extra rules we have to follow. But other than that, we announced Apollo. So that's our quantum card. That's actually, we presented that at McKinsey, which is like a huge company. They deal with
McKinsey, they are the consultants, right?
Yeah, but they deal with only the top 100 tech companies. They are very picky about who they promote. And they were nice enough to let us do a presentation on their stage to all their investors, all their angel investors, all that kind of thing. So there was a lot of interested people, a lot of questions, a hell of a lot of questions, actually.
I mean, you guys are in a crazy market. I mean, congratulations, mate. I mean,
I know, right? We're one of the few that haven't took as large a hit right now, and I think
it's green. Just the color alone.
True, but also I think the fact that we're heading towards a stock market listing right now is people are just waiting to hear more news to find out what's going on. So nobody's really selling right now. Everyone's either buying or just holding.
Well, you can see the last 7 days anyway. There is a bottoming and a spike. But that is very impressive. So how close are you to cracking your own seed phrase on Bitcoin through Dynex?
If only I could show you some of the inside development stuff that we've worked on over the last few months. It's there's some interesting internal checks being done, and to make sure that nobody can buy our hardware just to do that thing.
That would be insane. I mean, we said last time, obviously the stock listing is always an impact.
That's almost Casper's price.
Yeah. Wow. Which is unbelievable when you look at the circulation rate.
Yeah.
Tokenomics.
Because we're at 95% all out in the wild.
And only 100 million, 110 million max supply.
Yeah.
Whereas Casper is 26 billion. But I guess, being in a different, different kind of ends of the spectrum.
There you go.
Oh, this is it, right?
Yeah.
Quantum Black. At McKinsey's EMEA data. Oh, right. Europe, Middle East, and Africa. That's cool. So you're coming down to Dubai again?
I mean, there are talks of us doing a conference at Dubai very soon, actually.
Yeah, we got to meet up this time, man.
Yeah, I may see if they'll fly me out as well. But that's to us, that's our pinnacle of our work right there, that card. Because that's actual physical hardware, right? When you're doing software, it's one thing. Getting into physical hardware is a whole different game. A whole different game. the money that you've got to throw at it for one in R&D is incredible. But also like
gas
yeah,
and cannabis, grok. Is that true? So in the age of AI, people are obviously becoming more lazy.
yeah,
The
absolutely.
amount
They
of
don't want to
time I
do the
just see-
research themselves.
Grok, is that true?
It's crazy, right?
Large language learning models actually do return a lot of BS without the human intervention. It's all about prompting. But when you ask Grok, which seems to be now above the, in few years' time, I don't think people will actually seek any advice or it. They'll just all be talking to an AI
It's a
agent.
disappointment when you think about it like that. Like the people's actual IQ will probably lower.
Diminish, yeah. I think we're going back to I don't know where caveman is. He was supposed to be here, but I think we might be getting back to the caveman days, but in a different or more like the Jetsons.
I mean, actually, caveman would be happy because everyone would be on his level then.
What is the feedback from the Kenzie? I mean, it's good to go through sometimes. I love reading, interaction.
I do have a laugh at some of the responses we get because we've had one end of the scale to the other, right? You've seen the replies when Dynex is very diversive when it comes to a conversation, right? I've talked to one end of the scale completely to the other end of the scale, right? It's a very diversive subject, but
it is.
We've worked hard. That is a culmination of 5 years of hard work at the office, right? With everyone, whether it be from the security aspect of it to the PCB design to the chip design itself, to the actually going around to fabricators and developing a relationship with the fabs so that we can actually get these built.
Right.
It's a complete team effort, and everyone at Dynex should be very proud of that. We all, every member of my staff and Dynex team as a whole will turn around and say that is the most proudest moment we could have right now is being able to put out a piece of hardware after we promised that that's what we were going to do. How many companies promise something and never release it?
This is
you see a prototype and nothing else.
I think you suffered a lot along with everyone else purely because of the current market dynamics. I saw tons of bullish updates from projects. I mean, you're not alone in this in terms of we look at Kai Network. Somebody mentioned Kai Network, who have absolutely suffered versus their fundamentals. Like it's been untouchable because of the way the market has performed. But really, congratulations, and obviously for more Dynex. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the...
Super proud of Danny, our co-founder. She was the one who was up there doing the presentation. Super proud of her for what she's done. She knocked it out of the park at the presentation.
Actually, the presentation. It'd be great to have the two of you.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Danny has a whole bunch of other ones being lined up, but I definitely know that we could slot in some interviews and stuff coming soon, especially once obviously the product releases, because there's going to be tons of questions.
It is insane. I mean, look, like you said, man, I wanted to, because I'm going to be shooting off soon for dinner.
Yeah,
but a couple of things I wanted to cover with you. One, these ugly scenes. I think you saw part of the presentation I did earlier. Regarding the liquidity, and I think that's all it is. Like, people try to overcomplicate.
I agree. Like a lot of it comes down to liquidity. Unfortunately, the way the US's liquidity runs generally, unfortunately, influences crypto. Though no country should really influence crypto, but I guess it's because that's where most of the flow of money comes from, right? So of course that is something that we have to just put up with. Yeah, I just saw that, funnily enough. How
Yeah,
long
this
do you
is a
think before
question
we
for
see a
you.
reversal? Well, like a full-blown reversal and putting it into overdrive? We're probably a way away from that yet, right? We've probably got some more pain to suffer first, that's for sure. But I want to see it turn that proper corner before I would look at it and say we're going to see a reversal. But could I see a little bounce? I think we'll see a small bounce upwards, because a lot of people that have put a lot of money into Bitcoin are going to make sure that they're either getting more ready for it to do the exact same thing again and go back up, or they're going to just not want to lose a lot of money, so they'll go and put money into the liquidity themselves. So 2018 we saw that with Bitcoin. We saw big companies piling loads of money into Bitcoin. I mean, any of those right now that bought big in that 2018 period are sitting on millions.
Well, here's a reversal point on the 2-day chart, which is usually, I don't think people look at the, because the 2-day chart for me is such a good way just to zoom out enough to understand where we've got liquidity. And there's an order block here at 77, 78, all the way to 74, which kind of,
so it's about what my guy said as well. So yeah,
goes with the strategy price.
Yeah.
Which is on point.
So Saylor's done let's be honest, right? Saylor's done a lot over the years of actually deep diving how Bitcoin reacts to all kinds of news, right? Because Bitcoin is reactive with a lot of news. So, when Trump was all on his, campaign and he was saying he was going to make Bitcoin a reserve currency, you saw what the result was, right? Like, there was like somebody strapping a rocket to it. I mean, you can see it on the chart, basically, right?
I mean,
where
look at
that
this.
happened.
This is in election rally, just there alone in a single candle.
I think that was probably BTC Nashville when he said that he wanted to make BTC a reserve currency, because you could just watch it keep going up and up and up and up and up. I think we'll get something similar again, where something's announced that will give it that drive to stop the outflow from going too low. We'll see a lot of that, same as we see a lot of FUD, right? We see both sides of that story every time that there's a big pump or a dump, right? You get people all saying, "Oh, well, that's it, crypto's over." I've heard that from so many people.
If there's any silver lining, Cliff, it would be this chart for everybody who holds altcoins. And even if we kind of condense this down, it just seems to me this is the one that just has to bottom before we take decisive move. And I think it just aligns with the whole macro wide liquidity shortage in the market.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to remember, right? Last bull cycle we had Ethereum, and all the miners were pushing and hammering it so hard that Ethereum's network was absolutely rocking, right? To the point that like transaction fees were getting outrageous on Ethereum, right? It was like costing more to send $20 than the original $20 at the time, right? My friend sent $20 to his friend, and he had to pay $16 in fees on top just to send $20, right? But the miners all using it and then selling it or using it for dApps and stuff like that. They would mine and everything like that. Of course, like you just end up, there was so many people that just turned off when Ethereum went because the money wasn't there anymore. It dried up. I think most people aren't taking that into regard. Like for alt season, it used to be the moment that Bitcoin stopped rallying and was having its little pullback, Ethereum would start skyrocketing, and that would kick off alt season. What have we got?
Good question here for you, bro.
Kick off alt season. Solana. The problem with Solana is though that they've still got network issues. The problem is that 95% of layer 2s that go on Solana end up being scams.
Sol's insane. I mean,
Solana's a bit of a bit of its own ecosystem right now, where it's even more Wild West than crypto Wild West right now.
Absolutely.
You know, they used to say the crypto was, you know, the Wild West, right? Do you remember that saying? Cryptocurrency is the Wild West because there's no regulation and everything. But they obviously didn't try going on Solana and go surfing for meme tokens, you know. Like,
and also, I had a good question there for you, by the way, which is posted by Rudy, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Rude. Yep.
Can you stake it?
What, Dynex? So Dynex has its own Dynex holders incentive program, where you get paid Dynex for just holding it in your wallet. So anyone who uses the web wallet or our Ethereum equivalent, our bridged wrapped token, you can actually get rewards for that just by holding it. You don't have to sign up for it. There's no lock-in period. It just, you accumulate your interest based on it sitting in your wallet.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Rude, I hope we answered that question. What do you think? I did a video on Sui Network about a month ago, or a couple of months back. And this is another one that has come to a critical level right now in the low 130s.
Yeah, Sui was pumping hard like last year, right? Like end of last year, beginning of the year, like that network was busy as hell. Like everyone was talking about Sui being that kind of next big network. Got all the hype, and then I really don't keep up with Sui much. So did something specifically happen that triggered like a response from their community? Or
I think the question that I wanted to ask you on Sui was basically, if you look at the language, the Move language program actually was on the Move language program. Do you think, I mean, so far the developers that have gone across, apparently it's a lot more slick, easier. It's kind of like almost a la carte way of writing code in the modern era.
Yeah. So they've removed some of the friction that people were using, people were having to use their solution. I'm all for that. I'm all for people removing hurdles, right? I love a line from Elon Musk. The best part is no part. Right. Don't overcomplicate it. So if they're removing the complicated parts and making it easier, yes, that's a lot more work on them, because the moment you make code easier for somebody, the back end code has to get even more complex, because it's dealing with half a ton of other things that normally you would be as a user dealing with, right? So will that bring a bit of complexity and possibility of bugs? Sure. But if they want to clean up their user experience and want to make it as simple as that anyone can just get on it and code, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. That's bringing a wider way of adoption, right? If you can't convince people to use it the way you want it to be used, like the way you've released it, then you've got to listen to feedback and make that adjustment.
What are the next catalyst events for Sui? I think I follow this quite a bit, so I can potentially maybe answer this one, Cliff. The Sui catalyst for me is first of all market stability, because the prices that I'm seeing right now are absolutely insane. Apart from that, they are making Sui Play as as one of their top gaming kind of target. I think AI could find home in Sui because of the speeds. In my opinion, there is not a lot of volume for shitcoin market. So if you look at, for example, the projects on Sui right now, apart from the stable coins, the layer one is tanked. Then you've got the quality of these projects. The ones that we know, Walrus, Deep Book, which is sub 100 million now. And the best performing project that they had was this D-Agent AI, or AIA, which is like the that Spurs. I hate that AIA abbreviation. By the way.
in the last hour. That's
Yeah, this is possibly one of the dark horses. But if you look at the spike here, that was like up to 20, $30, and then it literally. I mean, look at the market cap as well.
Wow,
this is insane. And by the way, I mean, in terms of the
type of going up always scares me because you know it's going to come down just as hard normally.
Well, this is the problem.
It goes up like that.
This is the problem with the SUI projects right now, because they really do have poor tokenomics design. This is what I've gathered. I mean, I love SUI. I hold some of the DeFi plays in SUI as well. But if we do dip below $1, that would be a generational buy, because I think big money will kind of flood to it. But I've just had the lack of, I mean, look, CETA's protocol was their big DEX that got hacked. And absolutely, if you remember, they just took all the liquidity pools from all the SUI projects, majority of them.
Yeah. I mean,
the Bluefin now,
I would guess the next big catalyst would be like a big project coming on to use SUI's network then, right? Probably as well. Would be a good catalyst as well. Like something really big, you know, like a big DeFi platform goes, oh, okay, we're going to go away from Ethereum or something and go
like
over to
or something, yeah.
Yeah, like it would need something big though to get that ball rolling.
They are fully stacked. I mean, I'm astonished right now to see the market caps of things like, for example, 13 million for this Bluefin. Yeah. Bluefin is a very
really high at one point. Bluefin, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was almost 100 million, 70 million odd. And it wasn't actually a SUI native project. It was built on Arbitrum. And then it came over to SUI. But I guess it kind of like, this will go with the as the hyperliquid narrative. But I guess the SUI does need, like you said, a big, massive Lofi here gave back all its gains. I mean, I'm not surprised. DeLorean, that was a good little play. DeLorean, the car manufacturer, which actually has a token on SUI network.
Yeah,
and if anything,
like that would have been ideal, right? That's almost like a stock-driven price at that point. It should have held better than it did.
Absolutely.
But is it actually physically tied to a stock price or not? That's the problem.
I think it is. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm sorry. I don't. There's got a marketplace, collectible, more for the collectible.
So that's DeLorean Labs, right?
The Labs, yeah. So it's not.
Yeah. So that's affiliated, I think, with DMC rather than
collectibles, rather than be a direct stock. But this would be wicked as a stock.
Oh, if it was a tied to stock and that equivocated to like 10% of actual stock, and that'd be great. Because then that means people who have, got involved in their ecosystem could actually part own a slice of the pie.
Absolutely.
Love that idea. I love a DeLorean anyway. I'm a big fan of that. So
it's super incredible. 5 million for that one. But they are trying. I mean, look, at the end of the day, gaming should find at some point. I mean, we're talking about the future here, but gaming should really find a home here, because between hardware, latency, they've got it figured out. They've got account abstractions. You can log in with your Google or whatever Apple ID. You don't need seed phrases. I recently had to change the wallet, and the ability to bring back the account was just instant. So maybe that's what they back to the future for all of us here, like Bo said. That was a hell of a meeting.
Flying cars, man. Bring on the flying cars.
Yeah, we need the flying cars. I mean, they are trialing them in Dubai.
I've seen.
They're going to go live.
I'm into a project. I don't know if you've ever heard of this project, but Wingbits, it's called, right? It tracks planes, but it also tracks things like quadcopters and, things like that. So I can actually go on my Wingbits and see all those kind of things, drones and planes and all kinds of stuff. It's on my roof of my house.
Jenny said, I still believe in Dusk Network. I need you to send me maybe more alpha. I need to go back to it. But listen, I'm actually half an hour late.
Yeah, you better get off before the
date
wife
with my
comes in
wife
and rips you away from that PC.
Yeah. But Cliff, when can we get you back on, my friend?
Anytime, man. Just hit me up and we'll organise something.
Amazing stuff. Cave was actually supposed to be doing a show with us as well, so perhaps maybe
we'd have to drag him in. It's always good laugh when we've got us three on a conversation.
We will come back. Don't worry, Reed. We'll come back for sure. But it's been a brilliant show, and I hope we've obviously helped out a lot of people. No bullshit, just what we see and experience in the game. Because
it's one of the reasons why I enjoy having conversations with you, because you don't just listen to the hype. You actually spend the time and do the research with it, right?
Nah, you're my brother, man.
Before you go and grab somebody and ask them for an interview so that you can get to know it a bit better.
You, out of anyone I know in crypto, my friend, like especially from, it's often like it's difficult to find a project leader who's genuine, who basically is an absolute legend, because he's also a man of dignity. And I think because you hold Bitcoin, because you obviously, a lot of developers, people don't actually know this, but I'd randomly message Cliff and ask him, who's behind, I don't know, AI tech, and he'll be like, yeah, do you want me to put you in contact with the person there?
Yeah, I do get myself involved in quite a few conversations over the years.
I appreciate you, brother, as always.
Projects, man. But yeah, we'll have to do this again. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
100%. And last but not least, you are red and white.
Absolutely, I am.
The legend came out this week swinging, defending Jude Bellingham. I don't know if you saw the clips, but I was watching to unwind away from crypto last night. I was watching Arsenal versus PSG when we had the old school team, when we won the Cup. And this guy here takes the ball at their place and swings in from like 25 yards, top bins on his left foot. So I don't think for all of the
player in his years.
I think for me he was the aggression, the passion, that tackle on Schmeichel as well. If you remember, I saw that as well last night. 2-footed.
I think Ian Wright was that next generation of players after the current crop was there, and it was a very different generation. So
yeah,
Caveman just
stuck in traffic. No worries, brother. Listen, I'm gonna have this dinner with the missus, but don't rule out. Maybe we'll press the button again.
All right, then, buddy. Well, I'll let you get off.
Thank you so much. In regards to the missus, my friend. Thanks, Habibi. Take care, bro. Everyone, smash the like anyway, of course. And legends, thank you for everyone. Sorry if we haven't answered your question, but we will definitely try and do that next time. God bless you all. Stay safe. Take care. Bye.